Did you know that Drew Barrymore called the actual police to the Scream set? Or that there's hidden sound bites from movies like X? And like, what about the fact that there was supposed to be an entire trilogy based around Emma Roberts' character Jill? Well, don't worry. I did all the research, so you didn't have to. Jason Takes Manhattan is the 8th installment of the Friday the 13th franchise, and one of my absolute favorites in the series.
A maniac trying to kill us. Welcome to New York.
Did you notice that our first Ghostface in Scream 6, Jason, was watching it on TV before the real Ghostface calls him up? Unfortunately for him, that's going to be the last movie he'll ever see. Not a bad choice though, truly. In the horror genre, a trip to New York City was not an uncommon plot.
We got a list of movies from Paramount that they own that we could use in the movie.
This is Scream's way of giving us a little nod to the infamous Friday the 13th installment that brought some of the most iconic executions.
And the second we saw that one, we were like, oh, there it is. It all just fell into place.
So who else thought Sarah Michelle Gellar's character, Cece, was offed too soon?
Omega Beta Zeta.
Also, fun fact, she shot Scream 2 before Buffy the Vampire Slayer Season 2, and because Wes Craven wanted her to cut her hair for Scream, her new haircut was actually written into Buffy. Anyway, I digress. When Tara almost goes upstairs with Frankie at the frat party, he innocently asks her if she's part of the Omega Beta Zeta sorority.
You Omega Beta Zeta?
It was a nice moment that kind of brought our girl Cece back for a minute. But did you catch that when you first watched it? Being so into her chosen character, Drew Barrymore accidentally called the police to set during filming. When she was filming her opening scene, the phone she was using was actually connected to a landline. So during one of her takes, she legit dialed 911 by accident and ended up hanging up. But unfortunately, the police came to set, sirens blaring, ready to try and help Casey make it past the first 15 minutes of the movie. Never call 911 and hang up. They gotta answer that. Now please leave a comment if you caught this. I'd be majorly impressed. In one of Scream 6's more subtle Easter eggs lies a sound cue from the incredible movie X, written and directed by Ty West, and also starring Jenna Ortega. When you hear a knock at the door of Samantha's therapist, that's actually the sound cue from the movie X. It's actually a cool little nod from the directors, as they're both friends with Ty West, because they all worked together on the horror movie VHS from 2012. It really is a small world in the horror genre. So this shouldn't come as a total shock, as directors love to make little cameos in their films. Even Wes Craven showed up in the first Scream movie. The Scream 6 directors, Matt Bettinelli-Olpin and Tyler Gillett, show up in the movie wearing Halloween costumes. Matt's dressed up as Kurt Cobain, and Tyler has a fake knife stuck in his head.
My friends.
Who else's favorite Ghostface was Scream 4's Jill?
What world are you living in? I don't need friends.
Did you know that it was going to be the start of another trilogy? When Wes Craven started talking to the writer, Kevin Williamson, about going back to Woodsboro, he didn't want it to just be for a one-off. He wanted to do a whole new Ghostface trilogy with Emma Roberts. In the original Scream 4, Jill's fate was supposed to be left uncertain, with the cliffhanger to be resolved in the next installment. Unfortunately though, Wes Craven passed away in 2015, and Kevin Williamson didn't want to create an entire trilogy without him. Did you notice this callback in Scream 5? When Sam is on the phone with Ghostface, she, in a fit of rage, demands for him to come and get her.
Come and get me.
With pleasure.
Sidney Prescott has that exact experience with her Ghostface in Scream 2. She also demands the killer to come and get her.
Then why don't you show your face, you coward?
To which Ghostface responds,
My pleasure.
We almost didn't get him on the series at all. He actually turned down the Scream project not once, but twice. In the 90s, Wes Craven was known for his horror genre movies because of A Nightmare on Elm Street and The Hills Have Eyes. So obviously, he was a top choice for the director when Scream was being considered for production, among other names like Quentin Tarantino. At that time though, Wes Craven wanted to take a break from all things gore, so he ended up turning the project down because he thought it was way too violent. And obviously though, after rejecting the movie twice, he did end up coming around. How do you think the series would have turned out without him? So I already mentioned how Wes Craven made an appearance in the first film. He showed up as the janitor, Fred, obviously wearing a Freddy Krueger sweater because, well, duh. There's also a direct reference to the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, more so how the sequels all sucked. And aside from this, there are a ton of other Wes Craven references scattered throughout the film. Even in Scream 6, you can spot hundreds of Wes Craven costumes. In the first film, Tatum mentions Wes Carpenter movies, which is a combination of Wes Craven and John Carpenter.
You're starting to sound like some Wes Carpenter flickers.
The director of the 1978 Halloween movie. There's also a Freddy Krueger sweater hanging on the door in Scream 2, a poster for The Hills Have Eyes, and a trivia question about Freddy in Scream 4.
Freddy Krueger!
Raise your hand.
Like, I could go on, but this video would be hours long. So, what are some other Wes Craven references you picked up on? It wasn't until Kevin Williamson met the writers and directors for Scream 5 that he felt comfortable continuing the project. They even paid a heartfelt tribute to Wes Craven on screen. Dylan Minnette plays the character Wes Hicks, and in Scream 5, in which they describe his brutal end as the ultimate tribute for Wes Craven. It's wholly drawn out and filled with red herrings all the way until his gory demise. In the film, students host a memorial for Wes, which doubles as an on-screen memorial for Wes Craven. When the kids toast,
To Wes!
the voices of all the cast and crew from the previous movies were layered in as a way for them to pay tribute to the iconic director. Also known as our favorite leading lady, Drew Barrymore. Did you know that she was actually supposed to play Sidney Prescott, but she chose to play Casey instead? At the time, having your biggest star and face of the film offed within the first 15 minutes was absolutely unheard of. Well, we can thank Drew Barrymore for that shocking twist. She talked about this decision with Sean Evans in 2020. In the horror film genre, my biggest pet peeve was that I always knew the main character was going to be slugging through at the end, but was going to creak by and make it. What I wanted to do is take that comfort zone away. So I asked if I could be Casey Becker, so that we would establish that the rule does not apply in this film. Did you know Ghostface works 2 jobs? It's funny because Courtney Cox is often pointed out to be the only character who has been with the entire franchise since the very beginning. But that's not exactly true. Roger L. Jackson, the voice of Ghostface, has also been with the franchise since the very beginning.
Do you like scary movies, Sydney?
I like that thing you're doing with your voice, Randy.
This whole time, I thought it was an actual voice changer.
Correct. Amber might live to see the sunrise.
Nope, it's just one talented guy.
Can you handle that, Blondie?
Something else that's pretty hilarious too is that he also does the voice of Mojo Jojo from the Powerpuff Girls.
Do not continue with your ramblings, for my ramblings are the ramblings to be obeyed.
It's so clear why they did this Halloween trope. There are so many references within all of the costumes, more than I could ever possibly list on this one video. As a nod to Roger, there's one person dressed as Mojo Jojo in the subway station.
Oh, come on now.
So I could go on and on about the Scream world and all its clever references and Easter eggs hidden in each scene, but I'll spare you my ramblings just this once.
We share a certain history.
What's your favorite Easter egg, and what do you think should have been included in the list?